A while back, a list was made about 10 horror movie wishes that went horribly wrong. Obviously, we missed a few and your wish has been granted for more. We've dug up 9 more horror movie wishes that went horribly wrong so you can continue to be entertained by the misfortune of others, you sicko. I'm Tilly from What Culture Horror and these are 9 more horror movie wishes that went horribly wrong. Number 9. The Colour Out of Space. This film has earned a bit of a reputation as another bonkers Nick Cage flick, similar to 2018's Mandy. But this sci-fi horror has so much more going for it than that, including a wish that arguably sets the whole plot rolling along its path of Lovecraftian madness. In the opening scene, Wiccan daughter Lavinia wishes for her mother's cancer to be eradicated by appealing to otherworldly and higher powers. Oh, and she happens to use the Necronomicon. This fictional staple of Lovecraft's world never has anything good come from it. Just ask Ash from the Evil Dead movies because he will be the first to tell you. The meteorite that then crashes onto the idyllic alpaca farm is arguably summoned by Lavinia's meddling with forces she doesn't understand. But she doesn't stop there. When things get increasingly worse for the family, Lavinia again decides to draw on her trusty little book of evil and destruction to wish to be taken out of this mess and leave the farm. A little bit of incantation there, bit of self-mutilation for a blood sacrifice there, just to seal the deal. At the end of the film, Lavinia's family are dead, she becomes fully absorbed into the entity from the meteorite herself, vanishing into the ether. So she did leave the farm as she wished to, just not as she had planned. Number 8. Dog Soldiers. One of the most terrifying British horror films ever made, 2002's Dog Soldiers tells the tale of a squad of British soldiers doing a very nice and simple training exercise in the Scottish Highlands. It goes wonderfully and they all go home unscathed. Nah, just kidding, they'd get attacked by a pack of hungry werewolves out for blood and must engage in a bloody battle for survival. Not only is it a tightly knit story with fantastic effects, genuine chemistry between the characters and some pant-wettingly frightening werewolves, there is also a blink and you'll miss it mention of a wish gone horribly wrong. During the film, the soldiers come across zoologist Megan, who gives them refuge in an old abandoned house. However, she is revealed to be one of the werewolves all along, having been effectively adopted by the pack several years prior to the film. It's something she accepts and even blames herself for. She states that she had come to the Glen with the wish to be at one with nature, ironically noting that's exactly what she got. Let that serve as a warning to everyone wanting to have a staycation in the woods this year. Number 7. Pet Sematary. In both the original 1989 film and the 2019 remake, we're warned that sometimes dead is better. Listen, if the creepy burial ground for pets always has a musical cue of eerie children singing, it's a really good idea to stay the away from it. The Creed family don't heed that warning, however, as when their cat Church is killed, Patriarch Lewis buries it in the Mi'kmaq burial ground beyond the Critter Cemetery after being told to do so by his mysterious neighbour Judd. The cat returns, but not as cuddly as he once was, yowling and snarling and scratching. Lewis doesn't learn his lesson though. When his infant son Gage is hit by a truck and perishes, his daughter Ellie wishes that God would bring her brother back to life. Luckily for her, Lewis knows just the way to do that. Back to the cemetery he goes. Once the sun rises, however, all hell breaks loose with scalpel slashings and throat chompings galore. We completely understand wishing for your dead son to come back to life, but if it's a gnarly little zombie kid, no thank you. While the 2019 reimagining swaps the roles and has Ellie die in the accident, this version of Lewis still ignores the obvious and his wish to be reunited with his daughter backfires horribly. Number 6. The Craft. The horrors of high school are bad enough, and it just gets worse when you throw witchcraft into the mix. Social misfits Bonnie, Nancy, Sarah, and Rochelle decide to dabble in a little bit of witchcraft to make their lives better and inflict pain on the classmates that have been making their lives hell. Each girl casts a spell that relates back to her specific needs. Nancy wishes for power, Rochelle wishes for her racist bully to get her comeuppance, burn victim Bonnie wishes for beauty, and Sarah wishes for her crush to like her back. Things seem to go pretty well for the teenage coven initially, but soon their wishes begin to have horrific effects. The racist bully's hair begins to fall out to the point where the bully becomes severely traumatized. Sarah's crush is so infatuated with her that he tries to assault her, and Nancy, well, the goth girl icon goes mad with power. Not only do their wishes impact those around them, but they also come back to haunt the girls. They lose their friends, their powers, and Nancy loses her freedom when she's committed to a psychiatric ward. I reckon this list is actually just teaching us all not to mess around with witchcraft. Number 5. Coraline. Coraline is a horror film and I'm not taking questions on the matter. If you weren't utterly traumatised by this movie as a kid, you're either plain evil or just plain wrong. Coraline Jones yearns for adventure and a more exciting family, which she stumbles across once a portal to another world opens in the house she has recently moved into. There she finds a world just like ours, but seemingly better in every way. Delicious food, doting parents, fantastical theatre performances from her various neighbours, and even a talking cat. What's not to love? Well, for starters, there's the threat of having buttons sewn in your eyes. Then there's the real realization that the other mother is in fact a monstrous spider demon thing who wants to eat Coraline's soul and keep her captive forever. Oh, and Coraline's real family are imprisoned by the other mother, leaving her no choice but to confront her fears and this horrible creature. Coraline handles the concept of wishes gone wrong remarkably well for a kid's film, even though it's still one of the creepiest and most truly frightening films to explore the theme. Number 4. The Shining. There really isn't more that I can say about this incredible film that hasn't been said already. Legendary, horrifying, mystifying, and just a bloody good movie, The Shining has been discussed to the ends of the earth and back again, but there is a little something within the film that makes it slot very nicely into this list. After being confronted by the equally iconic and terrifying Grady twins, Danny Torrance goes to have a little natter with his pa, Jack Torrance. Jack doesn't seem to be all that there, however, as he tells his son about how much he loves the Overlook Hotel and that he wishes they could stay there forever and ever. At various points in the movie, it's hinted at that this is exactly what happens to Jack. One instance of this is where he meets Delbert Grady, the father of the Grady twins, who informs Jack that he has in fact always been the caretaker. The mystery is deepened by the end of the film, where the final shot is a photo from 1921 with guests and presumably staff members of the Overlook having a right old shindig. But Jack Torrance is standing smack dab in the centre of the photo, a big grin on his face. Was he always the caretaker after all, or did his wish simply come true, eternally woven into the fabric of the hotel? Number 3. Open Graves. It's a shame when a cool concept is wasted on a far less cool movie. Open Graves follows the curse that a witch named Mamba implements after her execution during the Spanish Inquisition. What is the curse, you ask? Well, her flayed skin is used to make a board game, as you do, where whoever wins it is granted a wish, the losers being disposed of in ways that the game had predicted. As I said, a certainly unique idea. The modern day characters who make the mistake of playing the game are killed off in inventive ways that include, but are not limited to, being torn apart by crabs, falling into a pit of snakes, and aging into an old woman. It's like Jumanji, but somehow more dark. Even the wishes that are granted to the winners of the game come with a price, but the horror and intrigue is lost amid terrible acting, a myriad of unlikable characters, and some truly, interesting attempts at CGI. This really is quite sad, as the film's concept alone had the potential to be something very special. Number 2. Dead Friend / The Ghost / Ri Yong. This underrated and suspenseful Korean horror film from 2004, titled Ri Yong in Korea, and also known under the name The Ghost, was part of a trend of horror films in the country that took place within a high school setting in the late 90s and early 2000s. The film opens with a seance conducted by Yoon Jung and her 2 friends, which is interrupted by Yoon Jung's older sister, Yoon Seo. The wiser sibling chastises the 3 girls for wasting their time with silly cultish things when they could be studying. An angry and humiliated Yoon Jung wishes that the ghost they summoned would take her sister away. I wonder if you can tell where this is going. In a tense and creepy scene featuring Asian horror cinema staples like long black hair and truly horrific supernatural happenings, Yoon Seo is indeed killed by being drowned. It's unsettling and really disturbing to watch, as Yoon Seo gasps and gags as water pours from her mouth, all due to her sister's careless wishing. Number 1. Hellraiser. As Pinhead himself states in Hellbound Hellraiser 2, it is not hands that call us, it is desire. Despite being portrayed by pop culture and the later, lesser Hellraiser sequels, the Cenobites are more than just your average slashers. Once mortal humans, their souls were transformed in hell after succumbing to their urges for hedonistic and downright bizarre forms of bodily pleasure. That pleasure is sought after by Frank Cotton in the first Hellraiser film, who had heartily consumed all other forms of delight. The puzzle box he opens at the start of the film came with the promise that it would grant any and all carnal desires. He does get that, but the problem is the world of Cenobite pleasure is very, very different to our own. Plus, their kink domain is literal hell, meaning that the human extremes at S&M are even more hardcore in the Cenobite realm. Being flayed alive doesn't exactly sound like the sexiest way to spend your evenings, but hey, it's what Frank wished for, and who are we to kink shame? And that's our list. Do you wish we mentioned some other horror movies? Let us know down in the comment section below. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe in order to get as much spooky content in before Halloween. I've been Tilly, and this has been What Culture. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time.